Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel. It is May 25th, 2017. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was just sitting here doing some well-needed research. But all of a sudden, all of my earthquake detection applications are going off, and I started to look at what is happening here on the west coast of the United States, and we're seeing a very, very large swarm of earthquakes, and each of these earthquakes is directly along or very, very near the San Andreas Fault. Now, the small red dots, those are earthquakes that have hit within the last hour. 25 minutes ago, it's the 9 kilometers west-northwest of Cobb, California. And then on down, there's been a lot of earthquake activity, I would say, over the past 24 hours. 56 minutes ago. Now, these are small quakes, but when they're swarming along the San Andreas Fault, that is definitely something for alarm. Now, you can also see, we're going to zoom in here just a little bit more, a lot of earthquake activity right along the mountain ridge going into the state of Nevada. It's very rare to see this many earthquakes clustered all in one, especially in the state of Nevada. There's a lot of activity going on up here in the state of Washington also. I would have to believe that a lot of the other earthquake activity in Washington's not being reported by the USGS, the same as activity over here at Yellowstone. But just offshore 11 hours ago, a magnitude 3.1. There were some other sizable quakes earlier today, and several of them were pretty big. Magnitude 5.8 in the Aleutian Islands off the coast of Alaska here. And once again, you could see these straight line swarms of earthquakes. There's a small island over here 12 hours ago, small magnitude 2. But you can definitely see there is a very direct pattern here for the state of California right along the San Andreas Fault. That much is true. If any of you live in the state of California, I would definitely be on guard. I would have your attention definitely on what is happening in your state, especially if you live anywhere near that fault zone. Now, I wanted to take a quick look at the SDO, the Solar Dynamic Observatory, and taking a look at the sun. I did mention and do a quick video this morning pertaining to this coronal mass ejection that is headed towards Earth. We're still watching that very, very closely. Some are saying that it's going to be a glancing blow, but ladies and gentlemen, I think it's going to be pretty close to a direct hit, but we will see. The predictor models say one thing and others say something different. So I guess we will just have to wait and see. This was the area right here where this coronal mass ejection came out of. Me and the doctor talked about this on our live stream earlier today. But what I do want to mention is the left side of the sun over the past 8 hours has been looking pretty good. But as I brought up this information now to take a look at the earthquakes, I can see that what I observed 8 hours ago is definitely changing. You can see how dark this area is getting. I hope that you can see this. There are coronal holes opening up, once again, on the left side of the sun. In a matter of days, that will be Earth facing. So therefore, the earthquake activity that we're seeing now does have the potential of getting much, much worse. So again, you know, this is just a little bit of a warning. If you live in these areas, you have to be very, very attentive to what's going on. And further looking at the updated solar wind speed, what we're seeing here are fluctuations of the solar wind. Now, just as these earthquakes were starting to occur over the last several hours in California, according to the time that we have set here, the influx and the pulsation of the solar wind impacting the Earth we're seeing a direct correlation. Now also, if you take a look at these arrows are the solar wind reversing and heading back into Earth from the backside. We've talked about this many, many times before. We question what is deflecting this solar wind back into the Earth's orbit. And you can see it's very, very clear. So again, this is something that is putting additional pressure on the Earth. Just not what's coming from the daylight side, but what is reversing around and coming and hitting us from the back side. And as far as the radiation levels go, once again, you know, we are under the gun constantly with this solar radiation. And as you can see, I just backtracked about 100 frames on this, and this is all current and up to date. This is real and live time. But you can see these are very, very high elevated levels of radiation, and they're all the way around our satellite belt, which is the dotted line here. And you will see influxes of red just zip in here and wrap around and curl around and join the additional radiation around our planet. The UV rays, ladies and gentlemen, have been, once again, off the chart. And, you know, the ultraviolet rays is something that you need to pay very, very close attention to. If you are spending, you know, long portions of time outside, you know, I used to be a sun worshiper myself, but as of lately, with the increased radiation, the ultraviolet rays, I'm wearing, you know, very, very thin long sleeve shirts. If I have to be outside for very long periods of time, that's what I'm doing. I'm wearing a hat, sunglasses. You know, at points in time, the sun is so bright. It's that big, bright white light. And I mean, it hurts my eyes. I've actually had to buy a darker pair of sunglasses. So, you know, as a warning, if you're outside, especially children, you know, it's very hard to try to dress your kids up in something like long sleeve shirts when it's, you know, warm outside. But, you know, to protect these children from these ultraviolet rays is something that you definitely have to do. You know, 2 weeks ago, I was over a friend's house and I saw his neighbor had two small babies, maybe 6 months old and, you know, maybe a year old. They were sitting in a small little baby pool. The sun was blazing. I had already checked the UV rays and they were over 12. And, you know, this man had no idea. He had these two little cotton white babies with nothing on but, you know, their little diapers, and sitting in a pool of water and playing in this direct sunlight. And that could be very, very, well, it is very, very damaging for these children. So start taking some precautions with your kids. Sunscreen is not going to do it. You have to take other precautions to protect yourself and your children from what we're experiencing. That's the best advice I could give you. But getting back to our earthquake situation, well, just as we were gone for that few minutes, 27 minutes ago, South Pacific, Tonga, magnitude 5.3. So we're going to continue to monitor the situation over here in California. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is all right along the San Andreas Fault. I mean, this is something to be expected. But again, we haven't seen these long swarms like this in quite some time. This is almost, I would have to say, 80% of the length of the state of California. So everyone, please, living in the state of California, be on guard, pay attention to what's going on around you. Make sure you have an earthquake tracker app on your phone. The majority of them are free. I would definitely recommend that. This is Scott from Planet X News. Thank you for watching.